Welcome to the Herd Comic Book Club, your number one stop for spooky reviews of terrifying stories, art, or volumes that us or yourselves choose. Find us live every Wednesday on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, and the replay on all podcast networks. Sharpen your facts and get ready to hunt, as it's time to join the herd. But first, please put your paws together for your hosts, Shane, Phil, and Scott.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Nerd Herd Comic Book Club. My name is Scott, and I'm joined by Shane.
Oh, hoi hoi.
I'm joined by Phil.
Hello.
This is our final week for Horror Month. Thankfully, it is also our herd's choice. And so it might get your spooky wobblers.
It's the last time I get to wear them for a year. I better get them on.
That's true. So this is our first ever herd's choice pick of this season as well. And it was chosen by Beth. She is a regular viewer. So we are talking about Self-Storage from 2015, issues 1 to 6, published by 451 Media, written by Clay McLeod Chapman, art by Matt Timson, and letters by Eugenio Perez Jr.
Great name.
There we go. This was a very hard book to find.
Mm-hmm.
Very hard book to find. And even to just Google it. It's not on Goodreads. No one else has done a review on it. I feel like we are hitting a niche on YouTube and all the other socials for a review on this book. The only other piece of evidence of anyone reviewing this is Shane reviewing this a few years ago on his own YouTube channel.
When I very first started.
But yes, let's go ahead and say a quick hi. I should mention, Beth's not here, you can't see, but everyone who does win a Herd's Choice is invited on. She wasn't able to make it today, but she has sent us her page. She sent us a very good and long review, and I think she is here watching as well. So, hi Beth. Yes, let's say hi to the herd now. So, we've got Highland G. I'm early. Hey, party people, let's do this. Lee is here. Howdy ho. I'm assuming Beth is with him. James, yo in the house. Was that better than last week? Whoever was it? Who said it last week? Shane. Martin's here. Evening all. Hey, buddy. Thank you for joining. The resident artist Kevin Wells is here. Evening, chaps and chapettes. Hello. And we have Connie as well. Hi, Connie. Right, that is everyone for now. Right, yeah, there we go. Leah's confirmed. Beth is with me. She says hi. Hi, Beth.
Oh, hi, Beth.
Right, let us tell you what this story is all about. So this follows Chris Smith, and he's a character who's kind of eked by in life by hocking the auctioned off junk from those people who no longer pay the rent on their self-storage units. He spends his days hopping from one storage facility to the next, bidding on units. Bidding on units, only to sell whatever's inside to auction dealers and pawn shops for as much money as he can squeeze out of them. But Chris has never found anything like what's waiting for him in Unit 83. Her name is Jessica. What if you found a zombie locked up in a self-storage unit? Would you keep it? This is what self-storage. I was asking you, Phil. Yeah.
What would I do? I wouldn't just close the door and go to the bar. First of all, that would be my first thought.
Yeah, that's exactly what they do. So yeah, there we go. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Phil, kick us off.
I'm honestly struggling in a way to describe this with initial thoughts. It's a bit dumb, the story, a bit stupid, but it is fun. So that's not I'm not they're criticizing the book by calling it dumb fun. I think that's where it falls to me. There are parts of it that I did not like. I'm sure we'll touch on that at some point. But overall, it was a fun enough read to pass the time. If that's
Yeah,
fair to say.
I think using the words dumb fun, like if dumb fun is intended
Mhm.
for the book, then it's great. But if they go, I want this to be a really dark, serious story, and then someone says this was dumb fun, then it's not a good book.
It must be. I think this is very much
Intended.
yeah, for comical purposes. It has to be, or else it is really bad.
Shane?
This was for me a nice twist on the start of a zombie apocalypse book. You know, it's a small, compact. It all happens in this one storage unit. You know, it's not this great big world catastrophe. You know, zombies in the streets, all this. It's just a nice, compact little story, 6 characters, and how they deal or don't deal with a zombie outbreak. And I thought that was different.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I've seen any stories out there which have such a drawn out origin for how an apocalypse starts. Not that I'm saying that's a bad thing being drawn out, but it's cool to see that it is like this slowly growing thing, and I imagine the whole thing happens over 2 or 3 days. But yeah, it's not just a zombie bit a man, and now the whole world is a zombies. It actually has this slow, methodical, chain to it. Like, oh, this person bites this person, then this happens to these people, and then whatever. It's good. I enjoyed it.
It's like a prequel to The Walking Dead. Here's how it started.
In a storage unit.
Yeah, see, I think that was my initial thought when I read this. I was like, oh, it's just another black and white zombie book. It's trying to be The Walking Dead. You think, zombie book, black and white, what is it meant to be? But as you start reading, you're like, no, this is not trying to be The Walking Dead. This is not trying to compete with The Walking Dead. It's just trying to tell a completely different story. And it's just trying to do something different. You've got the mystery of it, because it's like, who put her there? Why is she there? Why isn't she attacking everyone she sees? So you've got that there straight away. And then
we still don't really find that out. Why isn't she attacking?
Oh, because she was the original. She was the one that was experimented on. She's not as mindless as the others.
The purest zombie, is that what you...
Yeah, she's just the first one.
Is that you just coming to that conclusion? Does it tell you that in the book? Because, me as a reader, sometimes I'm quite dumb. So I draw my own conclusions, if you know what I'm trying to say. And I didn't get that.
Well, she was experimented on by her father, who was, working on reanimation. So I took it as he had done this to her, and she was dead, but not dead, because she wasn't decomposing like the others. They had to keep feeding the others. But for Jessica, her father only visited her once every 3 years, and she wasn't decomposed when Chris opens the locker. So he hadn't been feeding her, he'd just been visiting her, and she hasn't been decomposing. So she was just a reanimated human, whereas the people she bites become zombies.
But Chris did feed her.
He did, yes. But
Remember
the dad
they drunk
didn't.
in the bar?
Because he fancied her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he realised she was
so weird.
calmer when she was fed.
Imagine having a real life girlfriend, and then on the same day.
That you have to feed. That's so annoying, isn't it?
No, but on the same day, pick a zombie over. How bad is that girlfriend that you're going to pick a zombie over her?
Yeah.
I don't think so much it's that he picked a zombie over her. I think it was the intrigue and the mystery and the
He's a big pervert.
She needed help, and he had this hero complex. I suppose he wanted to just help her out.
He could have bought her clothes,
someone
though.
he could save.
Just
Well,
saying.
he gives her a jacket. He gives her. He does give her Jimmy's jacket.
Yeah, I know. Liam is saying here, if a zombie was as tame as Jessica, he would consider a zombie as a pet.
As tame. Yeah, because she's tame.
Yeah. Okay. Lewis is here as well. Hi, buddy. Thank you for joining. Alan G is saying, this is what happens when you keep putting personal gain / profit over doing the smart thing. And it's hilarious.
There was no smart decisions made by any character in this book.
No.
Just back into what Liam said about having a pet zombie.
Yeah.
I feel like I've mentioned Hot Fuzz so many times on this this show in
this
recent
month.
weeks and months. Yeah.
Shaun of the Dead.
Oh yes, Shaun of the Dead. Yes, but it's a Cornetto movie, isn't it? So like, yeah, just having his friend in the shed to play Xbox or PlayStation with, that'd be fun. Because you'd win every time.
Yeah, yeah. Art, right? It was black and white. I was
Grayscale.
grayscale. Sorry, isn't that just black and white? No.
Like The Walking Dead's black and white, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like proper. But this is more grayscale. And this is one of those I have because I think with the grayscale, like I'm not an artist, but you see textures more. I think, and you definitely notice the textures on like the walls and on the people's faces and stuff. Which I think with just normal black and white, you might not get that. Maybe Kevin can confirm, is that the case? Because I know he does grayscale stuff as well.
He does, yeah. Yeah, like I was initially thrown by the fact it was black and white because I expected it to be in color, and then I had to message you guys. It's like, is yours in black and white? Like, but as soon as I realized that it's supposed to be in black and white, I was totally fine with it, and it was interesting colors wise, by just it being black and white or grayscale, that how bright some panels looked. Like I think it was like on the last issue, you had pretty much like 2/3 of the screen, and it was looking up at the sky, and the crows were flying around, and the sun was there, but you don't see the sun. It's just white. But I was so impressed by how bright it got and how it looked like the sun, and I was like, this is just someone drawing in grayscale, and I was really impressed. I thought it was quite good.
I wonder if like I've always wondered with grayscale stuff, do they color it in first? And also
like, run a filter over it.
Yeah, like because they do like the walls and things. They are different shades of black, for example, or different shades of grey, I should say. So like
how many?
I don't know, 50.
50
shades of grey.
So I just think like they must color something in and then apply a filter over it. Again, I don't know. I'm just winging it through life and winging through this book. I just sort of think.
I mean, it's possible. It's possible. I also like the fact that the blood was black. You know, it wasn't red. You know, they didn't like Sin City or whatever, and it was black. And for me, I like that because it looked dirty. It looked like bile. You know what I mean? It wasn't just red blood. It looked, I don't know, like zombies aren't clean. You know what I'm trying to say? And it just looked, I liked the fact that it was black, and it just looked kind of, it looked like dirty and muddy, and
it looked more gross, more grotesque, I suppose. But like I say, I think if they'd done that, like Marvel recently have done a lot of black, white, and red books.
Yeah, they
like
have.
Wolverine and Carnage. So if they'd done that and made it red, I think it would have been. I would have enjoyed it even less than I did. So the fact that it was black, you're right. It just looks more gross.
Shay, thoughts on the art?
I love the art in this book. Like from the first page, you open it and you're like, this is gorgeous. And there's nothing on the first page. Like the first page is just the storage unit.
Yeah.
But like what they've done, like just the cleverness of the rage. Like they've just zoomed into the storage sign and it just says rage you, and you're like, this is already telling me what's going to happen in the book just from a zoom into the sign. And I absolutely love it. I love the characters' faces, the designs, the zombies, what they look like. Beautiful. The shading is amazing inside the lockers, and I'm just in awe because I'm not a massive fan of black and white. Like The Walking Dead for me was just very flat and boring. Like I prefer the recolored ones now. But with this, because there's shading and there's depth and there's texture, you can feel and see all that on the page. And I love it.
I didn't hear anything you said after flat and boring for The Walking Dead.
Blacked out. Kevin answered you, Phil. He says he likes the use of halftones or screen tones to add textures to black and white comics like manga.
Nice.
Which you have recently dipped your toe into.
I've purchased. I haven't actually.
Oh, you've purchased.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're staring at the pool. You're not.
Yeah, that's it.
Right.
Haven't dipped toe in just yet, but one day.
And he says, also, they just do a grey wash. They don't colour it in. It's just to work out light sources. That's clever. Thank you very much, Kev.
That's what I was thinking. With like, it does seem more clever then. Now that you describe it that way, that you have to think about those things. I suppose, like you mentioned, the sun, like it says it's got a bit of yellow, like the brightest yellow you can get to paint the sun. You have to think more about that kind of how it looks with grey, so it makes it that more impressive, I suppose.
Yeah. And Liam also says keeping the colour to the sound effects was a perfect decision.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
To be fair, like I didn't even clock that.
They were
Like thinking about it now, I'm like, oh yeah, they were. Yeah. Why didn't I notice that?
Yeah, you love sound effects.
I do. That was great. Yeah, thanks, Liam. And Connie is also saying she really liked the art in the book. She didn't expect it to be black and white, but it works a lot. And that's pretty much exactly what I think. Thanks, Connie. Yeah.
I mean, well, they trick you, don't they, with the colour covers? Like the covers are in perfect colour, so you're like, oh, maybe the inside's going to look exactly like this.
I know. And I wish, like, I don't know if it's just me being picky, but I wish that if it was going to be a black and white book, give me a black and white cover. Or coloured book, coloured cover, you know? Should we show off our pages and our picks?
Yeah.
We've got a couple viewers' choice as well. Viewers picks as well for book. So thank you very much for everyone who sent that in. Phil, we'll start with you.
Just as I put a sweet in my mouth.
Sorry, Shane, we'll start with you. Go on, Shane.
Yeah, so this is when the family rocks up to the storage unit and the dad gets bit, and then they lock him in a storage unit, put the mum in there with him to shut her up because she's like obviously panicking and hysterical, and then she gets bit by the dad. But then the little boy hears her scratching, their son, so he opens the door and she's standing there in shadow, so you can't see that there's anything wrong with her, and he's just reaching up to her. And I just thought it's that, like, if you look at the panel, she's reaching for him, he's reaching for her, you don't see anything wrong until that final little panel of her with her mouth just open as she's cupping his head and she's just going in for the kill.
It's so innocent.
And if you look behind the two panels, you can see her mouth opening, and it's just a really clever and innocent page, but it's so dark.
Yeah, it's a good bit of paneling as well. I'm glad they just didn't do those four in just like a straight line of just four perfectly, symmetrical squares. It's a really good page. Especially it's the teeth that get me. That third tiny panel there, and it's just ugh.
That's the shading behind of her standing in that unit. I mean, you can clearly see she's wearing jeans, she's got a blouse on, you can see the texture of her hair and everything in there, but it's just completely cast in shadow. It's amazing.
Done really well. Nice one. Phil?
I face my sweet now, thanks. This story, this part of the story, this is where obviously that family first come in, and the dad, he's the first one bitten. And I think he's dragging him along. It's just very like, what's the word for, like cinematic almost. Like if it's like a movie, you see him dragging the body again, and then he's out of the panel completely. You see the trail of blood and his sandal left behind.
Flip-flop, yeah.
But he's just like, it's the way he was like wording, just want the China. Because they just came to the storage unit to get the mother-in-law's China, whatever it was. And this poor family, by the way, were like wrong place, wrong time. It's absolutely tragic what happened to the three of them. Horrible.
Yeah.
But there are some funny moments in this book, and I thought this was one of them. Just the way that he drags them out. But you can see what I mean about the texture on that top panel, which I'm assuming is the wall or maybe the ground, and you can kind of see all that texture stuff, which is good for grayscale. But yeah,
you say like funny, like humor. Like I agree that it's humor, but I also feel like that like is something that someone would say. If you're a bit delirious, you've lost blood, you're not thinking straight, and you may expect someone to say something like that, and not really know what's happening to them. So yeah, I found the funny side of it, but then afterwards I was like, oh, maybe maybe that's how someone would actually react or be. But yeah, it's clever. Two-sided thing, in my opinion. My page then. This is the last issue then where Chris has pretty much decided that he just wants to be a zombie. Really, isn't it? Like he wants to join these other zombies, and he just pulls the shutter down with him locked in, and then in the middle bottom panel there, you just hear him screaming. But yeah, I just loved how slow it went. It wasn't just one panel open, one panel closed. You saw it was a little bit of a journey. You had him closing the panels, and the zombies are getting closer and closer and closer, and you're seeing less of him, and then the silence of the door being shut, and then him screaming, and then more silence. I thought it was very good.
I think they've done this quite well a few times throughout the book, and you're right. I think it just adds to the drama. I suppose the kind of I didn't feel tension as a reader, but in terms of the story, that would be quite tense for the Chris himself, and it's quite dramatic. And there was another scene, and I was going to pick this page, but I thought that was similar to this, where he was closing the shade from the outside, and you seen Jessica she was light, and she was getting darker and darker and darker as the shutter was going down. So they kind of played the shutter scene quite a few times, but in a good way. They were able to use that as for like dramatic effect or whatever. Yeah,
it was great. A lot of people liking the dramatic effect with all this. James is saying, I think the lack of colour can add loads of mood. Totally agree. And Triple G is here. Hi, Pete. Evening, chaps. Sorry I'm late. No problem. Grab a seat. Enjoy the show. We have Beth's page now. Beth picked this book, so she sent us in a page. So here it is. There it is. She has said, I love the humour throughout this sequence and how it doesn't ruin the tone of the book. The head being kicked in the unit at the end made me laugh. Just to kind of get everything in. I've centered it out there. But yeah, just to get everything in there, you see, I think it's Jimmy, is it? And he just boots the head into the storage unit with his body and the parents. And
we should say that this happens after the dad. Jimmy is holding the boy and trying to get him away from the zombies, and the dad grabs his head and pulls the son's head off. Yeah. So that's why his head is no longer attached to his body.
What we should say is
you always do it too late.
It's censored. It's fine. Okay. Thank you very much, Beth, for picking that and sending it in. Her husband Lee has also sent in a picture as well. He says, buckle up, everyone. The use of colour, or rather lack of, and shadows is so good throughout this book, and this page is a great example of it. In this page alone, it shows us that the guy in the middle panel, this is Stan. Oh no, that's Jimmy, isn't it? The middle panel, is hiding something through him being dark and shadowy, in contrast to Stan in the top panel, who is well lit. An innocent in a game, and he didn't know he was playing. That's then followed up by the bottom three panels, which brilliantly convey so many emotions. I particularly like how his eyes become the focus. I particularly like how his eyes become the focal point of the bottom middle panel, through how white they are to show realization, and then which then progresses to them being covered in shadow to show hopelessness and the loss of his life.
That's deep.
That is deep. Yeah. Thank you very much, Lee. Thank you.
Yeah, poor Stanley.
Yeah.
But I mean, they were playing paintball with a zombie. What did you expect to happen?
I want to get onto these little fun bits later on.
Yeah.
And we have a joint page pick as well.
I can't believe this has been picked more than once.
I know. This was picked by Connie and Highland G. This is when, let's trigger this again.
Shane's laugh. I knew when Shane was reading this book, he'd be laughing his head off at this part. It's horrific, right? I'm too old school, but I'm of the opinion that kids you don't touch kids in books. Don't kill them in this manner. Yeah, they're off limits.
No, they're not. No, it's boring when kids are off limits. If you're not going to kill a kid in a horror film, don't put a kid in a horror film. It's as simple
What I will
as that.
say, compare this to the Something is Killing the Children, like your favorite page from last season, which was actually done in a horrific manner. The fact that the parents can see the monster, cut them in half, blah blah blah. This is just like comedy. They're using a kid's body to beat off a zombie that he obviously had him over his shoulder. Like you're laughing.
I think that's worse. I think that's worse.
Yeah, this is worse. This is worse. Yeah.
Can I just say that not beat off a zombie, knock a zombie away, Phil? They didn't use a child's body to beat off a zombie. Can we just...
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on.
Swinging the headless child from his ankles to hit a zombie.
Connie said she liked this just because it's pretty grim.
Uh-huh.
It did make her laugh a little bit, though. That's what she said. And Highland G has said, I was in hysterics after the dad pulling his head son off and biting it. Then this just pushed it even further. That's what he said. So thank you guys for sending that page in there. Shane, before we move on to the story, do you wanna flex a little bit and show this off to everyone? Here we go.
Yes. So in the back, of page issues 5 and 6, I think this is in the physical copies, which obviously I have because I love this book. My review, or a snippet of my review when I was reviewing for comiccrusaders.com, is printed in the back, and I totally forgot until I reread it this week, and I saw it and I just got a little giddy.
See, so Shane is biased towards this book because he's in it. Shane belongs in the self-storage universe. So
if this gets a 10 out of 10, yeah, Shane is canon. If this gets 10 out of 10, then we know why. So yeah, thank you everyone for sending your pages in. If you're reading along, don't forget to send yours in the future as well. Okay, story-wise now, I think Phil pretty much nailed it on the head when he said dumb fun.
Nailed on the head. I thought there was another pun coming there.
It was, and it was just a bunch of guys doing what they thought was best, but it was quite selfish as well. But no one knew how to handle the situation, and all they had in their head pretty much was money and hiding it away. And you know, if a storage container was a carpet, they would be brushing it under the carpet. That's what they were doing essentially, wouldn't they? They were just putting all these zombies in all the storage containers and just going, "Yep, you can stay there. See you later."
Yeah. It's a comedy of errors, really. Like I say, I mentioned earlier on, whenever Chris first opened the unit, seen this zombie woman, the original zombie, whatever, he closes the door and goes to the pub, and then tells Walt not to go near it. Like that's like the first stupid mistake you've made. Not the writing, I'm talking about the story overall. Like Walt obviously wants to see what's in it. He owns the storage unit facility. He's going to look. So there's one error, and obviously without these errors, we wouldn't get the story we had. But obviously Jimmy getting involved, and then he invites Stanley, who wasn't meant to know. So the more people who know about it, the more kind of calamity it gets. And there were a few parts that were funny, definitely. There were a few parts that were really kind of stupid, which I never really got, and maybe I'm looking too much into it. One of them being, whenever Walt first comes out as a zombie and attacks Jimmy, they're having this big kind of trying to get him under control, whatever, and he goes reach for the keys, and he grabs the keys, and he's throwing the keys off his chain, and it's like, what do you want the keys for? Do you open a unit? He came out of an open unit, kick him back into that and close the shutter. You're wasting time. I get the key to find a key for another unit to push him in. Just push him back in that one. It's right there.
But they've already moved down. They'd already moved down the hall by that point.
Not by that much. Just would have been quicker, running away and to chase you into this open unit as opposed to trying to find a key. And he's counting down to the 65. He loses count again. It's like, oh come on! It's like Mr. Bean or something. It's just
the best part was when he lets go and it flicks back onto Walt's hip because it's on that ricochet chain. I thought that was great.
Yeah, it was.
It's stupid. That's maybe a dumb fun. It's stupid, but it is fun.
Like when Chris is trying to kick Walt off him, but he pushes too hard straight away and his foot goes into his chest and he's like, oh, come on. And then he sort of has
get
to
off,
push
get off,
even
get off.
harder to get him off him. You know, I thought it was serious because you didn't know if anyone was going to die, but it was also fun at the same time, you know?
Yeah.
It's not as dark and as dreary as The Walking Dead, you know? That book is just soul-crushingly dreary, isn't it? It's just designed to make it... Yeah, it's designed to depress you at the end of every issue, whereas this was designed to entertain.
I've just started reading The Walking Dead in the last few weeks, and that's twice in this show, and you have slagged it off. Stop it. I love The Walking Dead. So much more superior than this.
Stop it.
Behave.
Did we talk about the paintball yet?
I have it written down. I haven't talked about it yet, no. But that was good fun.
For me,
Spitball or paintball?
I just assumed it was paintball. No?
Because the sound effect was like spit, wasn't that, I suppose?
It was meant to be the splatting of the paint, wasn't it?
Yeah. That was my top comedic moment for this story when they were but all they were hidden behind was like cardboard boxes. I'm assuming they were full of stuff, but that's all they had. It was just cardboard, about 3 or 4 cardboard boxes high, and then just taking turns just shooting at this thing. And then, you know, it was when they had the rules for the game, and it was like, oh no, he's moving, that doesn't count. It was like, yeah, it totally counts, and they're just making it. I was like, come on, guys.
The fact that Walt as well was like peering over the boxes at times, but they weren't like fearful. Like they were so stupid. They're under control, and then obviously he puts the gun in his mouth and just fires repeatedly. Yeah, and it goes bullseye, 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 bullseye. So it's stupid but funny. Yes.
Yeah.
But they are the problem in the book. Because I mean, like, if this was just a book about Chris, if no one else was in this book, this wouldn't have happened. Because Chris was the sensible one, you know.
Yeah.
He leaves her in there. He's like, I need to find out what this is, why it's happening. Goes rooting, finds whose locker it is, and goes to the doctor's house to find out why he's left this girl in a locker for 10 years. So, like, he was fine as a character. He's the level-headed one. He's the one that we like to think we'd be, that, you know, we'd make all the right choices. But his friends are just absolute buffoons. And they're the problem.
Even
in a fun way.
Yeah. Even at the ending of the book, that Jimmy was the cause, I suppose, of the breakout, wasn't it? It's his fault.
Yeah, he thought he was some big businessman at the end, didn't he?
But again, even the idea, like, I don't know where I'm going with this, but like they had people visit for other reasons, and he would feed them. Like that.
Yeah, right this way.
Yeah, this way, exactly. It was they're just there to be fed, and you're right. It's not because he cared for. I think he mentioned in the book that I don't want them to go hungry, but like he wanted to keep them there because he wanted to make money from them. Obviously, you've seen that towards the end.
Yeah.
When we got this guy in, this poor chap who had no idea what he was in for.
Poor chap, nothing. He went to shoot people. He wanted to shoot people.
I actually thought he was in for other seedy reasons, to be honest. But then I was glad it was a shotgun.
When he was going, can there be a woman in there?
Yeah, can there be 2 of them? Exactly.
Yeah.
2.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, and that's what I thought we were going to, like they would be chained up or something. But no, they just wanted to fire a gun at something. And poor guy.
That was Stanley's idea, though. It wasn't even Jimmy's. Like, he stole Stanley's idea, because Stan was like, we can have people shoot them for money.
Yeah. Like, was it stealing, or was it like honouring his idea? 'Cause didn't he say something like that? Like, he was like, oh, you know, I'll still do it, I'll still do your plan, or something like that.
I'm gonna say stealing, because it's probably it suits more with the character of all of them.
Yeah.
Because they just wanted to make money the easiest way possible.
Yeah, they were really selfish.
Because Jimmy's idea was to bribe the government or something, wasn't it? That was his idea. So
that was like Plan B, wasn't it? Yeah.
So yeah,
Plan Zombie.
Sorry,
it's my turn for a bad joke this week.
It's usually Scott does that, isn't it?
Yeah. I haven't got the head for it this week.
Neither's the sun.
Oh my goodness. That poor kid. I don't even know the kid's name. Did he have a name in the book? He should have had a name. He didn't have a name, did he?
I didn't write one down. I didn't catch a name.
Poor kid. And to be fair, the way he died, again, I'm going to refer back to it, because I know people laughed at it. I didn't laugh at it because, like, again, it's the idea that the kid was over the shoulder of Jimmy, and he was watching Chris fight the dad or the mum, and then he just doesn't. The dad comes from behind, he goes, "Daddy," holds his hands out, and he just rips his head. Like that's like it's not
That's
funny.
funny.
It's not funny.
That's
That is
funny.
How is that funny?
Well, because this kid is so dumb, because he's just reached for his mother, who was clearly a monster, and got saved from the mother, and now he's reaching for his dad, who is even more clearly a monster because his throat's ripped out. And
He's a kid. He's naive. He doesn't know what's happening. Zombies aren't.
I do love that when you see at the end when Jimmy's like running his like target range, whatever it is, the kid's holding his head.
I did laugh at that part.
Yeah, me too.
I shouldn't have.
That's pot kettle black right there, isn't it?
Yeah, I did.
Man,
It's still horrific. Poor kid.
I know. Trying to think. Like all I keep wanting to come back to is just how like narrow-minded Stan and Jimmy are in terms of like what they want to do with the zombies, and all they want to do is just exploit them. Like we don't know anything about why they're trying to buy the storage units to sell stuff to make money and all this, but you assume that they're not doing very well financially.
No, they're living in the storage unit, aren't they? Like,
Oh,
they stole a copy of the keys from Walt, so they're like living in the unit when he's not there.
Yeah.
So they're very, very much down on their luck.
So yeah, and it is just that is just all that's on their mind. So like they weren't even, they freaked out initially, but it wasn't. Like I said, this book really, looks at like 2 or 3 days, apart from the very end. But then, I think it would take me a bit longer than 2 or 3 days to kind of come to terms with it, and then go, I've got some ideas to make money with this. It's just a bit, but like, yeah, they were very narrow-minded, selfish characters, clumsy, and it was fun to watch in that kind of stuff. Like, I love the paintball scene, and yeah, it just seemed like they just made everything worse all the time. Like, if Chris wasn't there, something went wrong. Yeah, and they are interesting characters.
Yeah, they're really fun. Like, one of my notes is like they're the comedic aspect of the book. They're fun to watch. Their interactions are great, right up until the part where you see their true colors when Jimmy puts the wife in the locker with the husband. He could have put her in a separate locker.
Yeah, keep her safe.
He had all the keys. Yeah, exactly. He had all the keys. He could have put her anywhere else. He put her in there on purpose. He knew what was going to happen. There's no doubt what was going to happen. And that showed a completely different side of Jimmy. He went from being, the comedic buffoon to just this dark, evil person that you no longer root for. It was that one act that did it for me.
Totally.
I was so happy when he got his comeuppance at the end. Because I thought he was going to get away with everything. I thought it was going to end with him like being the only one left standing and doing well for himself.
Did this turn out to be like Jimmy's story overall and not like Chris's? Like when it's stuff like that, when it's like, the 3 main characters at the end, and this one was left, for me in my head I was like, oh well, now it's his story, because it's ended with him. Do you think the same or no?
No, it's still very much Chris's
by Chris and Jessica. Yeah, because they had that whole Lady of the Tramp moment with the
when they're eating Jimmy. Yeah, when they're eating Jimmy and the intestines and they kiss. Yes, that was so sweet.
Yeah, sweet. That's one way to describe it.
And as they're walking away, like out into the world, and their hands just brush each other, like they're gonna hold hands. I thought it was so. It's a rom-com, isn't it? It's a
Zomcom.
Yeah.
You're making up your own genres now, for goodness sake.
Rom-com.
I don't know. I mean, this is why it's obviously dumb fun to describe it as this, because, like I say, he instantly fell in love with the zombie, and obviously she must have loved him because she didn't attack him, and she trusted him. I just think it's a bit daft, Like, I get it. I'll go kind of full circle. And he becomes zombie, and they have a little kiss, and they brush hands. It's all nice and sweet. But it's a zombie. Like, you're meant to kill them straight away. Like, a bullet or an axe or something through the head, Just end them. That's
Yeah.
you need to save the world.
They didn't kill any of them, did they?
And he had a perfectly good girlfriend called Laura.
He didn't, though, did he? I mean, she was something else. I mean, he gives
Yeah, but
us,
she
he
wasn't
takes
a
her out for a
zombie.
nice meal. No, but she was a cow.
Okay, horrible Laura or zombie Jessica? Like, what's your pick? You know.
Well, I mean, one's not gonna be mean to you. It might eat you, but that she's not gonna be mean to you. Is she? Like, Laura was so mean for no reason. Takes her out for a nice meal, gives her some pearl earrings, and she just sort of throws them back at him and just leaves.
Yeah, but they were like secondhand, weren't they?
Yeah, but he didn't take them off a body. She acted like he went to the morgue and or dug up a body. She's like, it's morbid, it's gross. Yeah, no, it's just, this is people's abandoned lockers.
Yeah.
But he got the date wrong, so he's not a very good
Yeah.
boyfriend himself.
Yeah. And then what was that with her showing up like
on the
next
actual
month?
date? Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
I like that.
No, but that was really random. She
That
was
was
like,
weird.
"Oh, happy anniversary! It's been a month since we've seen each other," and he's like, "Yeah, because you broke up with me."
Yeah, I thought they broke up. Yeah.
Yeah, but she just showed up like nothing happened, and then Jessica just eats her. So you're like, "Yes, get in there." Eat her face.
Learning a lot about Shane today, aren't we, Phil?
I think this whole horror month. I mean, there's Shane, Connie, Pete, who laugh at things that maybe you shouldn't be laughing at in stories.
Martin laughed. He said, "Does it make me a bad dad that I laughed at this?" That's what he said. Yeah. I don't know.
No, it doesn't.
Maybe Phil and I are just a bit sensitive. Maybe.
It's like the point I was trying to get across before with Hotel in the last book for the last season. It's not the idea of looking at the gore; it's the idea of behind doing it. You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
someone has thought of this.
Yeah, someone's thought of this to do it in this way. Like with this little kid getting his head ripped off, it's like that was for comedy. It wasn't like it wasn't a horrific, dramatic moment in the book that made you think twice. That was for pure comedy, and I think only certain types of people laugh at that. I'm not one of them, thankfully. So,
just this guy. This guy. Stop giggling.
Every time you mention it, I keep thinking about it, and you keep making me laugh. And then you brought up Hotel, and now I'm thinking of her face just getting chopped off and dripping from the ceiling. It's so much fun.
Oh God, I can't wait for horror month to be over.
Yeah, for Christmas month, something.
Yeah, bring on Christmas month. Unless you
we need a unicorns and rainbow month to just cleanse the palate.
That's what November's for. We have this to cleanse the palate month. Right. Yeah, my question. You see at the end that the doctor, Jessica's dad is a zombie, and you see at the very beginning of issue 1 that he's being dragged into Unit 83. He's shouting Jessica, like, no, don't eat me, whatever. And then you see like blood coming out of that unit. I mean, we're assuming it's Jessica that turned him into a zombie, based off that. But how did he end up in another storage unit?
The chauffeur. I assume the chauffeur came because the wife acknowledged that she's the one that did it.
Yeah.
Because she's like, he's in a unit down the hall. She knew exactly where he was.
Great, thank you. Cleared up.
A good moment of gore that I did like was that chauffeur guy getting his tongue ripped out. I like that.
Oh yeah.
The way she put her hand on his jaw, ripped it down, took his tongue out and ate it in front of him, made him watch. Yeah, she made him watch. She's like,
like see, I think that's funny. Shane's getting into it. Oh, she made him watch. He loved it. He's getting all into it. He loves it. Like, I just liked it and laughed at it for one moment. Shane's like laughing that up.
I did that same scene. I liked when he stabbed Jessica and like drove it like up her stomach. And then you kind of see, like, that part is like a side view, but then you see it front on. And I just like that it wasn't just a straight line; it was kind of like an S shape. And then she commences to rip out the tongue.
Yes. Why wouldn't he go for the head? Why would you think a stab to the stomach? You've seen.
Liam has just called him Mr. Punchy in the comments, right? And he punches Chris twice in the stomach. So I think he has a theme. I think he just goes for the gut all the time. So that's what he did. He was punched in the stomach twice. You might as well knife in the stomach, see what happens. And it didn't go well.
Because we didn't even see, because the little boy's obviously holding his head now because it doesn't fit where it used to. He's holding it, but he's still alive. So his body's still moving.
Yeah,
and
how? Is it like one of those comedy gags where a zombie's head gets knocked off and it's like, no, I'm over here, stupid, when the body is trying to find the head? Like, is it like that? Is there some sort of link now? Can the head still move? Does the mouth still move?
Yeah, because we don't know how to kill them. We've not seen any of that. We don't know if they can be killed. They might just be reanimated. Like every cell in their body might just be at that point where it cannot die no matter what you do to it. Like a sea sponge. You put it in a blender, blend
just
it up.
Just like a sea sponge.
Just like a sea sponge.
Yeah, but he's there holding the head, so the body must have moved to be able to hold the head. But how? How does that work? I don't know.
Because it's either that or Jimmy has stapled him together and just has him standing in the room. I don't think he would have done that.
No, I don't think so either. Yeah. I don't have anything else to say. Do you?
I do.
Oh,
I have lots to say.
I like that not all of the start of every issue, but some of the starts of each issue had an animal being killed. It's quite interesting, that. I was because you have there was the ones I remember off the top of my head now. There was a lizard that got was just running across the road and gets run over and squashed, and then the issue after that, you see a fly, and it's like, oh, how does the fly die? And then it doesn't, and then a couple of pages later, Jimmy smashes a newspaper on it, and then it dies. So yeah, I thought that was quite. I don't know if you guys picked that up on that. I don't know if that was an intentional thing, but. I thought it was, and I actually got to a point where I was looking out for it then.
A subtle theme of death throughout the book.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that, but again, I think not to offend the creators of this book, but it's just one of those things that this book didn't really have my full attention at times. So I wouldn't have picked up on little details like that.
Much like me in this show now.
Yes.
Highland G is giving us an insight to his own psyche. Most things with crazy gore just make me laugh and think of shows like Happy Treehouse Friends.
It's going back 20 years. That's show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's go back. And Lee wanted to give a little side note. He goes, I liked that their surname was Ferryman, as in the ferryman is usually the one who escorts you from life to death, and in this case, it's from life to the undead. I think Lee should just replace me on this, to be honest. He's much more thoughtful and in depth with all this stuff. Yeah.
Again, horror is his thing, isn't it? Horror
definitely
books. He's again like Shane. He's lapping this up. He's loving it, loving life.
Him and Beth. Well, this is Beth's pick, so obviously.
See, I think if I'm being honest, this month has kind of shown me that I just don't think that I am a horror themed book fan. Like, there are some books I like, don't get me wrong, but I get the impression with Shane and some of the folks who are regular on the chat, you could give them a horror book of any kind and they'll probably like it. They like the horror genre. I don't think I do. Horror books I like, but I can't say overall I like the genre. I don't think I do. That's just not for me. I think there's too much that's just doesn't. I don't want to say it doesn't sit well. I think that makes me sound like a prude, but I just don't get. I'm not on board with type of thing, And so killing kids and shutting up your wives and things, I'm just not on board with that. So this month has shown me that I'm not a horror fan.
You're a nice guy.
I'm a lovely guy.
I think, I don't know if this falls into the genre of horror, but I think I'm more of a psychological thriller kind of guy. Does that come under horror? It's just
Autumnal was psychological, but would be horror, I suppose, really. So
and I did enjoy Autumnal. It is
But
currently number one on the leaderboard.
but I like The Walking Dead. I do like an action horror book,
Yeah.
but like there's still limits. I think there's still a line you can cross.
How many issues into The Walking Dead are you?
I'm only the first hardcover. What's that? 12.
Okay. Come back to me when you're up to like issue 100 and tell me about your limits. Okay.
Ooh. I'm looking forward to seeing this.
But
Yeah.
I love horror. Everything about horror is just so much fun because being scared, being uneasy.
You're not scared. You're laughing. You're not scared. You're like it's a comedy show for you. It's just
well, especially when it's well written, when the characters are developed well, and you know what the characters' motivations are straight away. It's money. Like it's not straight away. It's money. Okay, they want money. They want to make money. They don't care what's in a unit. They only care if they can flip it.
Yeah,
that's it. And so that's really easy to follow. And then when you get the fun of the zombie paintball and the kid getting his head ripped off, and it just then it adds to this overall experience of a zombie book that's not like
fun
any of the other zombie books out there. I just think this is quite unique, being the start of the apocalypse. It's not like even what books that show you what happened at the beginning, they start in the middle and then they have flashbacks. And then or if they do start at the beginning, it's something massive and involves the army and all these scientists. And this was just grounded. Yeah. Just a grounded zombie book. And I haven't found anything like it since.
It is very different. You're right.
Totally agree. Yeah,
things out there. Yeah, 100%. But again, like you literally said, like the fun aspects of the kid's head getting ripped off, fun. Goodness. Because
it's over the top. That's fun. I mean, if the dad had just bit him and he was slowly bleeding to death, that's not fun. That's not funny. That's traumatizing. That's dark. But because it's just so quick and he just grabs his head and it's gone, that's funny. That's comedy gold.
We'll agree to disagree on that one.
Like when Jessica first bites when Jessica first bites his fingers, and she bites his fingers and he pulls them out and he's got these bony he's still got the bones. Like, that's serious, but it's also quite comedic that he's just got these two bony fingers.
Keep your bony fingers to yourself.
All right. Let's leave it there. Let's end the chat there and let's go on to our final thoughts and scores. Seems like a lot of people in the chat have read the book this week, so do give us your score. And while we're giving you the time to type up your opinions, Shane, we'll kick off with you. We'll do us three, and then I'll do Beth's, and then we'll do everyone else in the chat. Yeah, Shane, what did you think?
I love this book. Like I say, I got to review it for Comic Crusaders back in 2015 when issue 1 came out, and I loved the first issue so much that I added it to my pull list, got the variant cover for issue 1. I even went out and got a signed copy by Matt Timson because I had to get the variant and a signed copy, obviously. But this is what happens when an artist and a writer love each other very much. They create this beautiful new life. And it's this 6-issue story of a zombie apocalypse, the beginning of a zombie apocalypse. And I love it. The art is fantastic. The characters are great. The ending is a twist. No one expects Chris to die at the end. He's the hero of the book. You even if you did expect him to die, or even if you did think maybe there's a chance he would die, you certainly didn't think he would do it to himself. You'd think maybe he got a bite, then he'd save the world and he would die, a hero, but he just gives himself up. And it's a great way to sort of finish the book and just lead into anything. If you wanted to continue it, you've now got your zombie apocalypse. And I loved it. I loved it when I read it back then. I love it now. I just think this is how you do a zombie book with feeling, with great characters, with a nice little mystery along the way as well that you get to figure out as Chris does. And I don't have anything negative to say. There's not anything in this book that I would take out, and there's not anything I can complain about. for me, this is a 10 out of 10 zombie book. I can't not give this full score. I love it. I will read it again and again and again. You could be silent, but it's because it's a 10 out of 10 zombie book. I have to give it, like, it is a zombie book that I absolutely adore. I will read this over any volume of The Walking Dead.
End of season 3, self-storage number 1 on the leaderboard.
No, I mean, it's my personal score. I know no one else is going to give it such a high score, but because of my love for zombies and my love for great art, this for me is a perfect zombie story.
That's cool. Great.
Nice.
Perfect. Phil, over to you.
It's dumb fun. That's it. I can't really say a lot more about it. The art was great. I think we discussed that we liked the kind of the grayscale, the textures, the way it was used, the dramatic effect of the art. I think the art is far better than the story. Although I like the idea that you mentioned before, it's grounded. It's a very small, like it's not taking over the world or whatever else. It's just like these three guys, how they can make a bit of money using these zombies, and obviously it's a love story. But it is pretty daft, and overall. And I did laugh at moments, I cringed at some moments, and overall, I can't see past the brutality. And it's the I'm thinking, like, what's going on in their lives? They want to draw these things and write about these things. That's so bad. Looking at the books I've read over the horror month, I think this is the one I've liked the least, to be brutally honest. But the art's great. I'm going to give it a 6. And I think that's could even be generous, but I feel like I had fun talking about it, and I did enjoy the read. But I've read it; it's done, gone. I'll never go back to it. It won't stay with me. So 6.
Cool. Okay. A couple more minutes, guys, for everyone in the chat. If you want to get your score across, then chuck it over soon. Yeah, I mean, this was just. Yeah, it was just a bit of fun. You can't say this book isn't fun, because otherwise you would have no sort of comedic bone in your body to you can't say that. Yeah, it was a bit of fun. Yeah, art was great. It was really cool. Like I said earlier, I really appreciate how just the use of different shades of grey can make this book look so good. Story-wise, I think my favourite part of the story was just the kind of mystery aspect that Chris, these breadcrumbs that he was following to try and solve why Jessica was there and why she is like she is, and we kind of get we get all the answers, and we get the little twist at the end with Mrs. Ferryman, and I quite enjoyed that. Yeah, a bit too much for me. I don't want to say to the point of like triggering, but just too far in my opinion, on just especially with it was just with the boy, just uncalled for, and I didn't like it personally. But yes, I can appreciate the rest of the book. I did like some of the comedic bits. But yeah, I've read it, and that's that. And if people go, hey, do you know any cool zombie books based in a storage unit? I'll tell them this. But then I'll tell them, you may take it differently to me, but for me, it's a 7 out of 10. So there we go. We've had a couple more scores as well. We've had one more from Lee, and then that from that. Perfect. Right, I think we are all in. I'll go ahead and read Beth's out as well. So she said, I loved that it was a very easy read and it had good humour, especially when the child's head gets ripped off. That part was really well done. Those few pages telling that part of the story are my favourite. I would have also liked more of a background into how Jessica became that way and why the other guys weren't freaking out a bit more when they first discovered the zombies. They were very blasé about it all. It was quite funny that they were still trying to make money out of it, though. It was a cross between Dawn of the Dead and Storage Wars. Yeah. If they bulked the story out a bit and gave it a bit more mystery and had a splash of colour, it would definitely be a higher score, but I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. So there we go. So we got a 7 from Beth. We have 8 from Connie. She says, I'm going to give this one an 8. I enjoyed the story, the art, etc. Thank you very much. Highland G. This is to regular horror what Shirtless Bear Fighter is to hero books. I'm not a big horror fan, but I enjoyed the craziness of this. 8 out of 10. Liam says, I really did love this book, and I'm so happy we finally got round to reading it. 9.5. Brilliant. Nice. And Martin says, I quite enjoyed this one. It was a fun take on a zombie outbreak. I do enjoy black and white art, so this was the perfect for this story. For me, it was a one and done fun book. It's a 7.5.
Nice.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. So, overall, with Beth's score and everyone else's score in the chat, you averaged to a very nice 8 out of 10. Ooh. Adding that onto Phil's 6, Shane's 10, and my 7, we end up with 7.8.
Oh, nice.
So there we go. So let's go ahead and see where it lands on the leaderboard.
Ooh.
Top spot. There we go. Top spot. So
Scott, you had top spot for 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yes.
2 weeks.
It's my longest streak. So there is a 0.7 difference now between top spot and second place with the autumnal. So there we go. Thank you very much, Beth, for picking that for Herd's Choice. Don't forget, everyone, every third week we spin a wheel. You get to make your choice, and then you will win some swag, and you will get the option to come and join us to talk about the book that you chose. So get your thinking caps on for November's pick. Go on, Phil.
Just wanted to echo what obviously Liam said about finally happy to get around to reading this book. We are happy too. It's been 2 years in the making. I think this book was picked for the Herd's Choice quite a number of times. So Beth will now have to think of another pick for the next month. So get your thinking cap on.
Great. Yeah. So the Nerd Herd channel is ever expanding once again. I must tell you that tomorrow at 7 o'clock, as usual now, Kevin is bringing us another video. He himself also did a Herd's Choice type of thing. We did a vote on Instagram and YouTube, and people voted if they would rather see him draw Morbius or Batman. They all voted for Morbius, so he will be showing us all how to draw Morbius in his It's Morbing Time video.
Brilliant.
So look out for that tomorrow at 7 p.m. GMT. And then Friday, Philip is expanding an old feature from Comic Airwaves where he will be talking about omnibuses in... Ooh, what's all the omnifuss about then? There we go. It's me. I do the voice. So
you've got to keep that ooh every time now.
Of course. So Phil, what time is it on Friday?
8 p.m. this Friday, and I will be joined by Comic Bound and Highland G.
Perfect. Nice. That's going to be fun. I'm going to tune in. Can't wait to see that. And then next Monday, if you are a regular viewer of Shane's Dawn of Comics YouTube channel, he has moved over his quiz night over to the Nerd Herd channel, and that will be airing on Monday. So Shane, do you want to give us a quick rundown of what that's going to be about?
It's a comic-based quiz show that I host, where I get a bunch of YouTubers on to answer some silly questions. We play 5 rounds, picture rounds, word rounds, question rounds, anything I can think of. And we have a bit of fun along the way and see if anyone can win a nice certificate with their name on.
Ooh, nice. Brilliant. So yeah, that is it. So we've got a nice jam-packed week up until our next pick, which I'm going to tell you about right now. It's Phil's pick, the start of the November month, and here it is. Phil, would you do the honours?
Yeah, so next week we have Oblivion Song Chapter 1, and from 2018. It's one of the first books that I added onto my pull list, and it has a a close place in my heart. Is that right?
Nice.
Love it. Look forward to it. And I'm interested to see what Scott thinks. I picked up this for him. I think Scott will like it.
And I'm not going to be here next week either, but I'm going to read the book.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to read the book and I will let you know. But yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you very much. Do keep an eye out for everything else coming out on the channel, and we will see you next week. It's time to get your waves out. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Love you.